for a dispatch from the jungles of New Guinea by an Australian newsreel cameraman just back from the front, Daimen Parer.
It's an uncanny sort of warfare. You never see a Jap even though he's only 20 yards away. They're complete masters of camouflage and deception. I should say about 40% of our boys wounded in those engagements haven't seen a Japanese soldier, a live one anyway. Don't underestimate the Jap. He's a highly trained soldier, well disciplined and brave. And although he's had some success up to the present, he's now got against him some of the finest and toughest troops in the world.
This forest-covered battlefront presents every kind of problem. It's not surprising that progress is often slow when you consider the immense difficulties of supply. But, as in the West, here too, the war has been tremendously speeded up by the use of aircraft. Wherever possible, planes have been used to bring up food and other necessities for the men in forward positions. Here, in the Owen Stanley Mountains, supplies which would normally take 6 days to arrive have been delivered in less than an hour. And as the parachutes or specially wrapped parcels without parachutes fall out of the blue, the Papuans get quite a kick out of it, even though they are a bit nervous. These pictures were taken when the New Guinea situation was distinctly less promising than it is today. The Japs, having fought their way through the mountains, were threatening a descent upon Port Moresby. This was the time when men of the AIF and New Guinea militiamen holding the attack slowly seized the initiative themselves. Few of us, hearing the news of progress in the Owen Stanleys, could possibly imagine the conditions on this front. Everything is against you. The steamy climate with an average midday temperature of 90, the thickness of the jungle with the enemy all round you but out of sight, and the endless difficulties of supply and reinforcement anywhere beyond the forward bases. Newsreel cameraman Parer, he had a beard then, was right up in the forefront. He saw exactly what war means here, and from his record we can get a pretty good idea ourselves. The attack on the hut. Japs were known to have been here, and the boys weren't taking any chances. The Jap has proved himself a very good fighter, especially in jungle conditions, but British troops who have learnt many lessons from the Malayan defeat are now proving more than a match for him. The Aussies rightly claim to be some of the toughest troops in the world, that fighting in New Guinea would sap the strength of the toughest. It's not hard to understand the temporary exhaustion of these men. Having just been relieved, they've come out of the jungle front line for a rest. As for the wounded, minor casualties after being treated at forward casualty stations have to slug their way back on foot. One thing, they can rely on help from men like these. Badly wounded men come back this way, the only way. A slow, difficult and painful journey. The greatest credit is due to their own endurance and the endurance of the stretcher bearers. It was thanks to the guts of these men, the men of the AIF and their Papuan allies, that the Japanese threat was countered. Japanese success in their advance on Port Moresby would have brought the war right up to and almost certainly into Australia. So these boys who have beaten the Japs and driven them right back across the mountains and down to Buna have done very well indeed. A wonderful job. They put up with every kind of hardship, not least of which is rain. Rain with a capital R. Rain that makes the journey back doubly difficult. But rain or no rain, and in the face of every hazard, the Allied forces have driven the Japs back, and that's one round, at least, to us.
E a questa parola si deve dare dal verbo ignorare.